Well, hello and a very warm welcome to Business Today Television. I am Chetan Bhutani. Today, I am joined with a very special guest on the eve of course, the festive season going around, and of course, with the recent listing and on the sales numbers. I am joined by Mr. Tarun Garg, full-time director and COO at Hyundai India Motors Limited. Thank you so much, Tarun sir, for joining us, and of course, congratulations on the stellar listing. And of course, so first question: Do you actually track the markets usually than you used to do earlier?
No, actually, of course, business is the first priority. So to run the business well, to make sure that we can continuously invest in the midterm to long term and make sure that we can navigate the organization. So that, of course, is the first priority. At the same time, yes, occasionally I will glance at the stock market.
All right. Well, Tarun, sir, in the recent, earnings call as well, we saw the MD and of course you also mentioning about making key areas as a production hub for emerging markets. What factors are driving this shift towards the emerging markets, and how bullish are you on such markets, sir?
So look, if you see, right from the time Hyundai has set foot in India, exports has been an integral part of our strategy. Very, very strong focus. Currently, in terms of volumes, we have 80-20 domestic to export mix. In terms of revenue, exports are contributing 23% of the revenue. We believe that the customer preferences in these emerging markets, whether it is Middle East, Africa, Central and South America, Asia, are very similar to India, and that is why I think HMI becomes a very strong production hub for these emerging markets. And like I said, over all these years, we have got some great success. Recently, we introduced Exter in India, and of course, it has received some great response. Now we have launched it in South Africa. Going forward, we will see that what are the more opportunities which exist. The Pune plant is on track, and in the quarter 3 of financial 25-26, a capacity of 170,000 will be added to our current capacity of 824,000, which will take us to close to 1 million capacity, and which will give us more headroom, not only for the domestic volume and market share, but also to really increase our footprints in the export markets. So the strategy is very, very clear, that we have a balanced focus on the quality of growth, whether it is volume, market share, profits, domestic as well as exports. And of course, this capacity addition is a big lever. And last bit is, of course, on the electric vehicles, with the Creta EV poised for launch in the next quarter. I think we believe it's going to be a game changer, not only for Hyundai in the electric vehicle space, but for the Indian electric vehicle market.
Sure, sir. So also with the recent drop in export volume due to the Red Sea crisis, how do you planning to ensure that such regional risks and such headwinds don't usually affect the stability and the performance eventually?
Look, obviously, the geopolitical challenges is something which has now become kind of a norm, and something or the other has been happening in the world. As far as Hyundai is concerned, we believe that whenever such crises happen in a place A, one is what can we do to mitigate? That is one. The second is, can we find some other opportunities? And that is what we have tried to do both in the exports as well as in the domestic market. So, for example, if Middle East was affected, we focus big time on Africa and the other markets. And of course, in terms of domestic market, like I told you, we introduced the dual cylinder CNG in Extra and Neos, which has really, really helped us to get more volumes. The SUVization continues on a very strong path. And now the SUVs contribute 68% to the overall volumes, as against 60% calendar 23. With the Alcazar facelift and the dual cylinder in Extra, we believe there is still upside to the 68%. Also, because the rural markets are showing a very strong inclination for SUVs, in line with the urban markets also. So I think all these factors of premiumization, cost management, a domestic export mix, SUVization should help us to really navigate as we have been able to do all these years in India.
Well, Tarun sir, you mentioned about CNG, sir. You have been very aggressively involved in the CNG market as well, with 3 to 4 of your products very aggressively priced and lined up. I want to ask you how big is the opportunity for CNG in India, because one of your biggest competition is actually betting big and mentioning that as India prepares for better CNG penetration, CNG cars will be the bet that will be placed upon as a comparison of an alternate fuel. How bullish are you on CNG, and what all products can we expect in future as far as CNG goes?
So look, our strategy has been very clear that different customer types in India would have a different preference. Like for example, in the entry level, we offer petrol and CNG to the customer because that customer is very sensitive to the price, initial acquisition price, as well as the cost of running, and that is why CNG offers a great option to him. At the same time, in the say SUV segment, customers want that initial torque, and that is where we offer the petrol and diesel to the customers, and diesel is doing absolutely well. In the Verna segment, customer is wanting that power, and petrol and turbo really gives him that kind of advantage of power, and that is what we do. So so that is the broad strategy. We believe that a single stroke will not work for all folks, and different
Okay.
segments, different preferences will be there. Second point is that how do you continuously innovate, and that is where you saw that dual cylinder CNG coming in, because one market feedback which we were receiving is that because of the CNG cylinder, the boot space gets reduced, and that was making the customers slightly hesitant in buying a CNG car. And with the dual cylinder technology, what has happened is not only are the customers reaping the benefits of CNG, but they're also having ample boot space, and that is how the penetration, in fact, in Exter, which earlier used to be about 17% CNG, in
Mhm.
October we reached an all-time high of 28%. In
Oh
NIOS
wow.
also, we have reached about 20.5% from the earlier 16%. So very
Mhm.
clearly, these innovations will really help us. And going forward as well, we believe in the less than 10 lakh rupees space, CNG would provide a very strong alternative to the customers. And advantage HMI enjoys, Chetan, is that our parent HMC has all kinds of technology, all kinds of powertrains, whether it is CNG, whether it is battery electric vehicles, whether it is plug-in hybrids, whether it is strong hybrids, whether it is petrol, diesel, in fact, even hydrogen. So, as you know, as far as HMI is concerned, we have committed 100 crores to develop our innovation hub in with IIT Madras, which will bring down the cost of hydrogen production from the current level of $5 per kg to $2 per kg. We believe this could really be a game changer, not only for HMI or the auto industry, but really help us in making the energy more renewable for our Bharat as a whole.
Right. Of course, Tarun sir. Before I move on to the numbers, I want to quickly take your opinion on the sluggish sales of the below 10 lakh rupee cars. In fact, Maruti is struggling. The CHEM has also pointed out that it's a cause of concern. How are you placed as far as the below 10 lakh car segment is concerned?
So look, Hyundai is a complete manufacturer. If you see in the below 10 lakh rupees segment, not only do we have our i10, Nios and i20, we also introduced a SUV in the below 10 lakh segment, Extra, which has really changed the game for us. So it is all about the right car. I think that is very important. And India is such a big market that opportunity exists in all segments, and new segments are emerging. So we
Hmm.
will continuously see that how we can really leverage those opportunities. I gave you an example of dual cylinder CNG. Then last year in 2023, we had a facelift of the Nios. We had product interventions in Aura. We had i20 changes coming in. Of course, we had changes in venue. So I think what is most important is how do you continuously innovate and give more and more value to the customers. Also, look at some of the latent needs of the customer, unspoken needs of the customer. I'll give you an example here. We saw so many highways coming in, expressways coming in, where the high speed is going up to more than 100 kilometers per hour, as against 60 kilometers, which we have all been seeing for so many years. And we introduced ADAS only about 2.5 years back. Today, 8 out of 13 Hyundai models have ADAS, and in these models the ADAS penetration has reached almost 30%. So very clearly, more and more opportunities are coming in India as customers become more aspirational, and as aspirations take over functionality. I think Hyundai, with its technology and with this innovation, and with the HMC investing a lot in the future technologies, we believe we are very well placed to leverage those opportunities.
Sure. Very well noted, sir. And if I come to the numbers, the second quarter showed about 16% decline in net profit and 8% drop in revenue. What were the main contributors of these declines? Was it the usual sluggishness of the quarter that it usually sees, or something that probably would have affected?
Chetan, there are two ways to look at numbers. One is, yes, when you compare it to last quarter, same time, probably yes, there is a decline. But at the same time, once you look at the absolute numbers, whether it is the EBITDA of quarter two, which is at 12.8%, EBITDA of H1 of financial 24-25, which is at 13% as compared to 12.6% in H1 of last year. So you can see that despite all those headwinds we have been talking about, the geopolitical challenges, some challenges in the domestic market as well, we have been able to really have a very strong EBITDA for H1, and this is driven by not only our cost optimization but our premiumization, our a very strong balance between domestic and exports, and very strong SUVization. Yes, quarter two was challenging for everybody because of the strong heat waves in the country, because of the floods in the country, some effect of volumes, some discount levels going up. At the same time, if you see overall, Hyundai discounts in the domestic market are still at less than 2%, which shows that we are able to really give a good value to the customers, and our customers are not really expecting those kind of discounts. Rather, they're expecting more and more features, more and more technology from Hyundai, and that is the path we intend to take. Going forward, with the Pune plant and the capacities coming in, with the electrification of the Creta EV launch, we believe that the levers will only go up.
Right, of course. Sir, when you look to the numbers, 69%, 68 to 69% odd is what the SUV segment is contributing. So sedans and hatchbacks will contribute the next. So is there a plan towards shifting more towards SUVs and little bit less focused on the sedans and hatchback segment, or despite the lower interest, lower contribution from these two sectors, the company would be bullish on the sedans and the hatchbacks as well?
So look, we will be where the customers are. I think that very clearly last 28 years, and that is what we do. You talked about the hatch and sedan. Last year we launched the full model change of the Verna. Of course, so many innovations we have been doing in the Aura. So that really makes us a very strong player in the sedan segment. In as far as hatches is concerned, I told you about Nios, i20, very strong brands. So one is volumes, which are very stable and not really going down. I think this is important going forward. We believe that even in the hatches segment, the volumes can be stable. But obviously, the growth will come more from SUVs. And that
Okay.
is where the action is. That is where more and more models are being launched. We recently launched the Alcazar facelift. We are receiving some great response. Creta is a very strong brand. This year, 16% growth in Creta volumes over last year, which anyway had a double-digit growth. Creta EV will add further volumes to the SUV segment. So I think the growth going forward will come from the SUV space more because the first-time buyers more and more are directly moving into SUVs. For example, in Creta, the first-time buyer percentage has gone up to 28% now. In Venue, it is at a very healthy 40%. So very clearly, first-time buyers are wanting SUVs for their design, for their space, for the safety, for the technology. The other very interesting aspect is the rural customers also, the SUV contribution is same as urban. So there also aspirations are making the play. And I think this augurs very well for Hyundai. And we are making a very strong network, focus on the rural areas. Currently, 83-84% of the district coverage we have through our network. We intend to further increase it. We have some mobile service vans, more than 100, dedicated to rural areas to provide customers that kind of a service at their doorstep. So I think we are having a comprehensive approach to make sure that we take advantage and leverage all the opportunities which exist in the Indian market. And of course, it has a very strong mid to long term. Even CRISIL has forecasted a 4.5 to 6.5% CAGR for the industry, and we really intend to be a part of this growth story, especially with the Pune plant coming in.
Sure, sir. And last question to you, sir. Has the heavy discounting affected margins? Do you think will it affect? And how are the prices of the commodities looking like? Is there a price hike on the cards going forward next year?
So look, obviously discounts would always affect margins. What is important is how you are relatively placed as compared to the peers. So of course, when you compare quarter on quarter, probably the discount in the domestic market increased from say 1.3% to 1.9%. So, but at the same time, we are in an industry where you have to see the relative positioning. You have to see how you can protect your volumes. So I don't think that's a cause of concern. We are very healthy, and as long as we will continuously innovate and bring those products, I think we can continue with good margins going forward as well.
All right. Well, thank you, Tarun sir, for joining us and speaking to Business Today TV on the numbers, and of course, being very candid to us about how you are tracking markets, and of course, being bullish on SUVization and premiumization. Well, that was Tarun Garg, the COO and whole-time director at Hyundai Motors India Limited, talking to us about what really how's the market looking like and how is the company positioned to perform post, of course, having the Pune plant in picture as well. If you've been, thanks for watching.